So we're here at the North Star Games booth, and we're going to be meeting with Bruce to talk about Quacks of Quedlinburg, and then we might wander on over to talk to Dominic about the next evolution of evolution. All right, we're rolling hot on audio.
Oh man, we're so hot on audio.
I mean, we're hot in general.
Yeah, but also on audio.
I mean, look at this. It sells itself.
And also on audio.
Right. I hope we're not rolling. Oh, we are. Cool.
Nice. So our big game that we're showing off at this particular show at PAX Unplugged is Quacks of Quedlinburg. Quacks of Quedlinburg won the Kenner Spiel des Jahres. So if you know the Spiel des Jahres, that is the game for any family. The Kenner Spiel is the game for a family that plays games normally.
Right.
A lot of people confuse it because it's called sort of the Expert Game Award.
Yeah, not
they're
quite
like
that.
they think it's like super expert. It's not. If you are a family that plays games regularly and that is a hobby you have, this would be a game you should consider. Okay, so in Quacks of Quedlinburg, you are sort of a snake oil maker. We would have called the game Snake Oil, but there's already a well-known game called Snake Oil, so that did not seem like a good idea. So we've changed it to English. It was Quacksalber von Quedlinburg. We changed it to Quacks of Quedlinburg, so that if you had heard of it, it would be easy for you to find it, okay? So basically in this game, what you're doing is you're trying to make potions. You do it, you have a bag. And the bag starts with some bad tiles and a couple of good tiles. Okay. And you're going to pull tiles out of your bag. They have a number on them. So as you pull your tiles out of the bag, essentially what you're supposed to be doing in the game is stirring your pot. When you look at the pot, you're actually going to see it as a swirl that you stir. So as you pull chips out, they're going to have a number, like 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, like numbers.
Like numbers.
Yeah. You're going to move that many steps forward in sort of your swirling. If you pull out more than 7 points of the bad tiles, which in this are called, I think, white berries, the white tiles, your pot's going to boil over. If your pot boils over, you're not done, but rather than, normally you would get points every turn and also money to buy more tiles to continue to thin your bag out, you can do one or the other. Okay. So sometimes early in the game, it's not a bad idea to make the decision to just bust. Right. To me, I consider this a sort of a mix of blackjack and Dominion. Is how I see it now. This would be different than Mystic Vale, which is a mix of blackjack and Ascension. Right. So I would say that's notably different about this. But you're going to pull stuff out of your bag, and then you're going to be able to buy more tiles. And then those tiles have different combinations, where like, if you pull this tile, and you've already seen a tile of a different color, you get to stir even further. Or if you pull this tile out, and the last tile you pulled was one of those bad tiles, you can just throw it back in your bag. So it's creating these synergies and these engines with all of your tiles to try to get as many points and as much money as possible to continue to thin your bag out. So unlike a game like Dominion, where the key is to, it's not really about deck building, it's about deck thinning. This really is about building a bag of as much stuff. Good stuff, and then... Exactly, so that you can keep taking more and more shots and not push your luck. Yeah, it looked really interesting. I mean, obviously it won the Kenner, and that makes it really exciting. We were super glad when you guys made the decision to bring it over. We are too, because so we're bringing a couple of games over, but they're still following our core philosophy, which is we want a game that has a certain amount of strategic depth, but we really hate rules. So we really want you, I know that right now it's really in vogue for a lot of games to have like pages of rules, and you need to watch like multiple 90-minute playthroughs. And like, I know that's something that people love because they get to really kind of grab their game. They become experts in their game, right? We still don't like that. We think that the barrier to entry should be less than a half an hour of rules. With Quacksalber, on a demo, it's like 3 minutes. Reading the rules, it might take a little bit longer, but in less than 30 minutes, you're up and ready to play this. Well, that's really exciting because it looks like a really fun, chunky game that I can't wait to get my teeth into. You know, I really love it. I would say for a press your luck game, it is incredibly strategic. Which is what I dig about it, because I like press your luck games. Like, I'm a big fan of all those grab some dice, throw some dice, see some things happen. Right. This is so much more than that, but there's still those kind of like quick heartbeat feelings you get of, oh, do I want to go one more chance? I do, are in this. A lot of times where one player is making the decision whether they're going to take a tile, and people are like trash talking them, which I think is super cool, especially for a game with like dour white dudes on the cover. Right. The thing that a couple people have mistaken is they see the dour white dudes on the cover, and they think it's not a press your luck game. Yeah. It very much is, but it's a super fun one. There's a lot of stuff to do. You have books that tell you what your different tiles do. Most of the books, there are 2 books that are double-sided, and there are multiple books. So there's all kinds of variety in this game. There's a deck of cards that sort of gives like a world condition for every round. There's a bunch going on. Game goes 9 rounds. Takes about 45 minutes to an hour. That sounds awesome. Yeah, we're super excited that we have it. We're really proud to be able to bring this game over.
Well, I am here with Dominic from North Star Games, the designer of Evolution and Oceans, which is what we're going to chat about for a minute. We saw this last year, and it's very exciting. Where are we now?
We are a lot further along. So Oceans is a standalone game in the Evolution series. So if you've heard of Evolution, this is kind of in the same genre of ecosystems that are evolving throughout the game. It's got a engine building element where you're kind of creating a part of an ecosystem that works together, but as the ecosystems get adapted in different parts, you're going to change your engine to always be kind of staying with the new ecosystem as it moves.
So it has a similar sort of experiential loop from Evolution, but lots of other things to think about from the sound of it.
Yeah, so this is definitely a standalone game.
Right.
There's definitely similarities, but it's a different game, and everyone who plays it's like, oh yeah, that's a different experience.
Well, that's really exciting. I mean, we love Evolution.
Oh, do you? Oh, good.
It's one of my favorite games. Absolutely.
Okay. Awesome.
And one of my favorite games to teach and to introduce new players to. Is this sort of from a weight class more dense, a little lighter? Where does it fall?
Thank you for asking. So it's easier to teach.
Okay.
So it's got a streamlined turn structure, but it's more gamery in terms of this affects that, this affects that. So it's got kind of and we have to make sure it doesn't get too crunchy.
Right.
But because I used to say it was easier to teach, I was focusing on that, and then I realized people would say, no, that's more gamery. So it's a more gamery experience, but very, very easy to teach.
So it's accessible, but not simple, but not simple-minded.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. The art from the original Evolution is some of the best in board games, as far as I'm concerned. You've carried that through to Oceans as well.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And I've heard whispers about the deeps.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we going to talk about that?
Yeah,
is that right?
It's cool. It's cool. Yeah. So the core set, and part of what makes it easy is the turn structure, but part of what makes it very simple is right now there's 11 cards in the core set. So there's a core deck.
Which is pretty wild that so much game is happening in such a compressed number of cards.
And the reason is there's so many different synergies going on with those cards. And so they've been, primed over the last 2 years, pretty dedicated 2 years, been working on it for 4, but 2 where we're really working on it.
Yep.
To be thematic and have lots of good synergies and different ways for the synergies to play out. For instance, in Evolution you can only have one climbing.
Right.
In this game you can stack.
Oh, wild.
So if you could become, using climbing as an example, a good climber and a better climber. You only have 3 traits, but you can have all 3 of those be climbing.
Okay.
So it makes just a lot of different ways that the game can kind of evolve with those 10 cards. Additionally, now we haven't figured out the right terminology. Now that's the learning game, that's the introductory game, that's the game that even gamers should play first.
Okay.
Additionally, there's a deck called the Deep. And the Deep is our goal. Right now it's at 50 unique traits.
All right.
We want it to be 100 unique traits.
That's a lot of traits.
So at the end of your turn, so there's these 10 traits that have a real familiar vibe, and they can go in a lot of different directions, but we can play off of it with these cards. They're power cards. And so the core deck is representing kind of like science and the known. And so it's kind of has more of a science ecology ecosystem.
Grounded in reality.
The Deep has that, but also goes all the way into science fiction and fantasy.
Stuff gets weird.
Krakens, Leviathans. But we call it the unknown.
I want it.
And so you can only get one Deep card a turn.
Okay.
So your sense of discovery of learning seeing these things for the first time are going to go 10, 20 games where you've never seen cards before as you slowly explore the Deep. And they're power cards. You actually have to pay for them. They're not free to play.
Oh, okay.
And that comes from your food bag.
So you're paying points.
You're paying points.
So it's that cost benefit, that's really cool.
Is it worth it? And a lot of these, when they're designed well, and we're still tweaking them, they're kind of like, you look at them, you're like, oh, cool, and you think about how they can interact and how you might build something around it.
And that's very cool.
It's fun.
You folks are taking this to Kickstarter, right?
Yeah.
That's the plan. Do you have a launch schedule?
February 2020. It will definitely be in Kickstarter. The exact date I'll wait to announcing it. I'm not. We're pretty sure on it, but I'd like to wait on that. But definitely February. Definitely be at Gen Con. Definitely released sometime around then. It could be after Gen Con. And Kickstarters will definitely get their game 1 month or more before Gen Con. So they'll have exclusive playing ability of it for a while.
Yep.
I don't know when this is getting posted, but I'll just say we made a call out for playtesters. We wanted 100 official playtesters.
I remember. We covered that, I think.
Did you do that? Thank you. We ended up getting, we still get submissions. We ended up getting 1,300 people that wanted to playtest.
Well, all right.
So we opened up the playtest files. So there's a tabletop simulator game that your viewers can play right now, or they can get the print and play download. There's 3 phases that we're going through: beta V1, beta V2, beta V3, and for a month, those files will be updated, and you can kind of play it.
Awesome.
And you can give us data, and we have already have close to 400 games now in the database.
Oh, great.
And I get to sift through all this data and really tweak and balance the core set.
The data-driven game design is just such an interesting part of the creative side of game design. But this is super exciting. Like I said, we're huge fans of the original. We absolutely can't wait to see this thing as it comes to fruition. We've watched it grow over the course of the last couple of years, and it looks like it's just on its way. It's super exciting.
Thank you. This version is a very good version.
Fantastic.
I mean, I hate to disparage any other version, but it's my favorite version. And now, I just should say, like, my favorite version is often the thing that I'm working on.
Sure.
Because I'm in love with it, but I had some things to say. Oh, there's a one interesting mechanic. You feed one of your species on your turn.
Okay.
And so you play 2 cards, feed 1 species, draw back up to 5.
Okay.
And that just keeps going around. But at the end of your turn, you age all of your species.
Oh, weird.
So, and aging means you just take 1 population from all of them and just put it in your score it. So now those are your points now. So there's this constant pressure of time of trying to find synergies that are going to keep alive as many species
these different
as possible.
Populations, right?
Yeah, even though you're only technically feeding one, there's synergies that are keeping all these others alive. And so the game has a built-in, like, slow pressure.
A slow burn mechanism that keeps you moving.
And then there's also the pressure of predators. But the predators don't kick you in the face like they do in Evolution. Like in Evolution, sometimes you're just like, I got wrecked.
Well, yeah.
You don't get wrecked because nothing goes extinct until your turn, so you always have a chance to try to revive them all and keep them alive.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's while there's a lot of attacking and interplay, it's a less like winner takes all. It's a much less aggressive, even though there's more attacking.
Sure.
It's less winner takes all. So it creates
cool.
a lot of good interactions without kind of the pressure of like the good player just wrecked me.
Right, or the guy who drew the right cards at the right moment.
So,
Yeah, so that just means increased resiliency of play. It just means you get to stay in the game more. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, the good players are going to win every game. But the bad players are not going to get like kicked in the face and go like, that was horrible and I hate this game. They're going to go, oh yeah, that was fun. I want to get better. Sometimes in Evolution, the new players are like, that was a horrible experience.
Well, yeah, so Evolution is merciless.
It's merciless.
It absolutely can be.
It can be. But there's a lot of depth, and so when you're playing with equal players, it's great.
Yeah.
This game, if you're playing with unequal players, they can all still have a good experience.
That's super cool. Thank you for walking us through it today. Very cool. Can't wait to see where it goes.
Thank you. Thank you.